Hello, everyone. This is Esther Tanez from Esther Inc. Insurance Agency. I am so excited to be back. I hope everyone had a wonderful, wonderful Thanksgiving. I am so sorry. Yesterday we tried to record and there was some audio issues. So we'll try this again. And I hope that you can join us. And if you have any questions, just post them and I'll be able to answer as many as I can. Hi, Mario. I will try to make sure that everyone's questions are answered. And please know that your questions are such important because other people may have the same question. So let's start. So this is the journey of an entrepreneur. And we're going to talk about today your target audience. Who is your market? And as I shared with you many times that I have made many mistakes. Hi, Rolando. And one of them was that the only analysis I did when I decided to open my agency was that I lived in North Edison, New Jersey, and I didn't have an office per se there, but I wanted to be in a city that had a lot of population. And of course, Newark has, I think, almost 300,000 people. And it's a very mixed community, Black American and Hispanics. And back then in 1999, the Latinos that were there were mainly Puerto Ricans and Dominicans that had been there for a long time. So they knew about insurance and all the products that I was offering. So that was the extent of my analysis. But I'm going to share with you today that you need to do a little bit more research before you open that location, or if you decide to go online. What is the need of the client that you're trying to target, and what is the income bracket and all that good stuff that you need to know before you decide to open a location. Hi, Jason. How are you? So the first thing that I recommend is checking the demographics, and that's very easy. You can go to Google, and there's a lot of sites. After I finish, if you want to know where to go and find information, I have a list of sites that you can go in and search. So demographics, what is the population? What's the age bracket? What is the income bracket of the average person in that city? How many homeowners versus renters, spending habits, number of people that own a car. If you're in the car industry, you're selling car or car insurance or any services towards cars. Hi, Eduardo. What languages are spoken? Do you need to have multi-language employees, or do you yourself speak more than one language? The other thing is, who are your competitors? What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? Where can you fit in? Like, for example, when I moved here in Princeton, the first thing I noticed is that they don't have any professional services in Spanish. And then when I walked around and decided to go to different restaurants and cafes and different delis and just go shopping in town, most employees were Hispanics, and there was no services, none, zero, offered in Spanish. So I decided to, of course, befriend many people, and I said to them, where do you go food shopping? Where do you go for Spanish food? Where do you go to eat Spanish food? Where do you go to an attorney? Where do you go to a lawyer, etc., etc.? And all of them said that they had to either go to New Brunswick or Trenton. So, of course, a light bulb hit, and I'm like, they're all going far, at least 25-minute drive. So, and New Brunswick is almost 45-minute drive. So I said, okay, then maybe I can open an office here and, of course, offer their services in 2 languages. So that's the first thing I noticed, that there was a weakness. There was an empty space for all the Hispanics that are living here in Princeton that are not being serviced at all in anywhere. The only difference is that the Latino that is here speaks fluent English, by the way. So they're very different than up north. Up north, they tend to speak more of the language a little longer and not learn English as a second language. But over here, they do. I guess because it's, there's no services, so they have to learn English. What is the market need? Is what you're offering, is it needed in the community? For example, I gave the example, and you couldn't hear it, but opening a vegan restaurant in an urban city might not have such a demand. And so you have to do your studies to make sure that people would be attracted to that. Or gluten-free, or any type of restaurant that is not the norm in urban cities. What you do find in urban cities are ethnic food, fried food, a lot of fast food. Everybody's on a rush all the time. So can I get my sandwich and keep going? So that's important that you know what audience is there. And then the next thing you need to know, what is their spending habit? How much are they going to spend in the services? So If you're selling cars, are they buying newer cars or used cars? Are they buying home or are they renting? So you got to do all those analysis depending on the services that you offer. If you're a landscaper, you want to know, okay, so does this town, how many homeowners are in this town? And how many of them really hire out services or do the owners do it themselves, right? So also forecasting. Is it a community that a lot of people are retiring, or is it a student, like a college town, such as Princeton? It's a college town. Newark has a lot of colleges, but it's a very mixed community. There's a lot of families, a lot of young families, and a lot of young kids. So if you are in maybe entertaining children, for example, maybe having like a bouncy place or Chuck E. Cheese, and Newark would do well because there's a lot of kids, right? So knowing your target audience is important before choosing your location. For example, if you're going to prepare taxes, as I do, I have two businesses. I have an insurance agency and I have a tax preparation business. And I could not charge $150 to do a simple tax. Hi, Sam. So in Newark, right? Because no one's going to pay for that. But the average, you have to find out what is the average, what would someone pay for those services. So that's important to know. What's the market trend? You know, are people starting to invest in the community? Are people buying big cars, smaller cars? What is going on with the community, so that you know if your business can grow in that community? And then the other thing is, can your business expand to the cities or the towns nearby? So if you open a movie theater, how many people from the community would come and how many people would drive from the cities nearby? So for example, here in Princeton, we have Kingston, we have South Brunswick, we have Skillman, Montgomery, Lawrenceville. So when I do advertisement, I market to all of those towns because they're about 15 minutes away. So it's not a big distance. And besides, today we sell our insurance over the phone most of the time. Very rarely someone will come into the office, because that also changed, right? The industry of insurance has changed. So also knowing your industry. The mistake I made was, had I opened my office in North Edison, New Jersey, where I lived back in 1999, I probably would have had an increased chance of getting a contract much faster with an insurance company. But instead, I went to Newark because I was thinking of the population and the need, right? So, and then the insurance companies did not want to give me a contract. And I didn't get a contract to the year 2003. I mean, it was so crazy back then that people from Newark would have to travel outside of Newark to buy insurance. And then they got redlined when they went to other cities because nobody wanted to sell insurance to people in the city of Newark. But it was okay with me because when I got my contract, I took care of all of them, and I still do. So make sure that you know what's in the town, what's the income, how many families, how many homeowners, what is the services that you're going to offer, and does it fit the community? Because at first, when your advertisement, you want to start with your local community and then expand to the cities around it. You don't expect someone to be traveling 45 minutes to see you. Now, if your restaurant is fantastic or you have some kind of service that's unique, the people are willing to travel 45 minutes. Like I've traveled to Montclair, which is an hour from here. I've traveled, of course, to Newark, and now I live in Princeton, and I'll go to all the Brazilian and Portuguese restaurants on Ferry Street because they're phenomenal and there's nothing like it. So there are certain things that people will travel to, but the norm is to stay within your community. So how do you get to know the community? So I network a lot, and I get to I introduce myself. I'm not shy at all. So when I walk around, if I'm buying from the location, the business, I introduce myself. But Google has a nice way of finding out, you know, what's in the community. Also, there's a couple of sites here. There's too many but I'll send it to you in writing. I'll respond to you where to go. Of course, you know, the census, you get to know what's going on in the community. Local newspapers also talk about the community. So I'll write down a little bit of sites that you can check out so that you know what kind of community you're in. What do they offer? What do they like? What's the trend that's happening there? And also getting involved with the real estate offices. They tend to know what is going on with the community a lot. For example, a realtor needs to know how many people are migrating. So for example, here in Princeton and the communities around, there's so many corporations that new families are always coming in, and they tend to hire internationally. So you'll get families staying in hotels who have extended stay, and they stay there until they find their homes, or they rent their homes, or sometimes the corporations will buy a home for them. So understanding that helps me to know, well, I want to deal with the hotels that have extended, so that they know that when they buy their home or they rent a home, I can do their insurance. So I hope this helped you. If you have any more questions, please send them to me. I am so excited that you're back on. Next Thursday, we'll be back again at we'll get back at 11 a.m. next Thursday. And don't forget to follow us on YouTube. And I hope you have a great holiday shopping, because this is the time of the year. Go visit many cities. Princeton is beautifully decorated. You can come down to Princeton. I'll show you around. And I hope that you have a fantastic, fantastic weekend. And I get to see you next week. Take care.